Welcome to the Old Stoney's podcast. I was doing my air bass guitar during the intro, getting all funky and having a good time. Matt and I are here live.
How's it going, guys?
Can you believe it? We're doing live shows now.
Number 2.
We are working out right here of the talkcastPDX studios in beautiful Portland, Oregon. It's so nice out.
It's a beautiful day today, too.
I actually walked outside today and I could smell good smells. You know, there's some food cooking. Someone was smoking some weed down the street. It didn't smell like hot urine or garbage.
That's because we had some rain. When you get a little bit of rain around in here, it washes everything out. And my God, the city is gorgeous.
Yeah, it was really nice to actually be somewhere, where it didn't smell.
Yeah.
I love Portland. I've been here since 2015. And it's a nice place to be. And I live way out in the wine country.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I used to love coming to downtown. Now I just really don't like coming to downtown. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to move that out of the way. Thank you to our producer who's helping us out today.
Every time we're getting more and more professional now. We have producers.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Captain Doobie is what I call him.
There you go.
Because we know Captain Cannabis.
Yes.
Captain Cannabis has been on the program, and we hope to have him on the program again real soon.
Hope to get him his own show going on here pretty soon. The guy's got a few things to say.
Well,
he's been doing this activism thing since the 90s.
I gave Matt a nug of wedding cake gelato from Ideal Farms because he's such a great guy and he's been a good co-host. And I got to tell you, we're going to have a great guest. We have a great guest on today, and we're getting ready to introduce our guest here in just a second. But I'm really excited about the guest today.
Me too.
They grow some of the most phenomenal weed that I've ever
seen.
Ever smoked in my life, and it's always on point, and it's always great, and it's always wonderful. And with all that being said, should we go ahead and bring him on now?
I think so. I'd also like to add on to, I have a list of these legacy. Yeah, that they've been doing it before legalization. They've been doing it before medical. They've been just doing it.
They've been doing it.
And inventing and creating and improving our industry since pretty much day one.
Yeah. So with that said, let's bring on Geek Mike from Geek Farms right here on the Old Stoney's podcast. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. We're glad that you could join us. It's been a long time since we've been able to chat.
I know I haven't seen y'all's face in a while. It's really awesome.
Good to see you, Mike.
I can't wait to see you in person.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah, we have to have another ultra mega nug swap show like we did.
That's what I'm saying. We need to get those mega nug swaps going.
I got to tell you something, Mike. Everywhere I go, anybody has asked me about this podcast, and I mentioned something about that time, that show, the 60th show.
Yeah,
that's the one thing they always bring up was that was the most fun I ever had at the Northwest Cannabis.
It was so fun.
Yeah, it was a blast.
It felt like, we got to that point where, there was just, some old heads there, and it felt really just normal.
Yeah.
It was nice.
In the before times.
The before times. So, let's just jump right into questions because it been a long year. COVID, boy, you had fires to deal with. You had a lot to deal with over the last
year. The fires were easily the roughest thing for us.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, how close did it get?
Yeah.
We were in between two fire pockets, and it was a quarter mile away. Maybe.
Oh, no.
Between a quarter and a half mile away. It was just one hillside over.
So you can see embers landing on top of your structures. You can see it coming.
Yeah, we're still finding embers and stuff up in the hillsides, stuff like that. We were really close.
Wow.
To everything. Yeah, we stuck it out a ways past evacuation until they were like, "You got to go. There's no road left."
Right.
So that was hard. We were evacuated for. We didn't have power for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And we were evacuated for 2.
And you're an indoor grow. I just want to say you need power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, we keep all of our moms in our greenhouse.
Nice.
So we keep backup things up in our greenhouses. So we watered everything as much as we could before we left. And then just kind of
I'm sure you guys.
Good luck.
Will.
I'm sure you guys were shitting and a getting, as they say.
Yeah.
So you had to leave the plants. You watered everything real good. When was like when did you know, like, if you couldn't return by a certain time, you were going to have some serious issues?
I thought that once they got like the northern part, like the fire that was within a quarter mile of us, I thought once they got that part handled, I'd be able to go back in, but that wasn't the case. We had the National Guard stopping us and stuff. So that was kind of hard, like just understanding, when you can go back and when you can't. And
right.
So, it was scary because like how much like we have 7 employees that are full-time here, and it affected multiple employees' homes. 2 of my employees lost their homes.
Wow. And it's a small community.
Yeah. It is. We're a really small community. We have in Otis area, we probably have 1,100 people. So, and it's a big.
You told me at one point you were the largest employer in the area.
I probably am. When it comes down to like non-construction, yeah, definitely.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's interesting. So, did it affect your delivery schedules or your grow schedule or anything like that?
Yeah. We lost crops. Multiple rooms, everything that was in flower. And then it had long-term effects on our mother plants because so many of them had gone through so much stress during that time because of the humidity was essentially 0. And, they weren't watered for 2 weeks. So coming back, we had a lot of babying to do for months and months, and everything was in flower too, so we came back and had to re-veg plants. So it took us 6 months to really recover from that fire.
And you guys have some very unique strains that you guys have cultivated over the years.
Luckily we were we had prepped good enough and we didn't lose any strains. And we were super lucky to have that happen.
I think a Doctor Who right off the bat. You better never lose that. Oh my!
That's the one that took 6 months to get back to normal because just because the mom was so distressed and like she just wasn't producing she wasn't producing like normal after our first cuts, right? So we were like, oh, that's weird, and so it took 2 full cycles of kind of like babying that mother plant and replacing that mother plant and making sure that it's really healthy. It's a very important part of that.
Did you guys learn anything new about the plant after dealing with this much stress?
Straight up, I never thought that these plants would have the resiliency that they did to go through what they did. Even some flowering plants, man. I mean, we had stuff in those rooms like where like a whole row looked almost normal. It just looked dry. It looked wet. Like it looked like it had been dry for a day, Like it wasn't even crispy.
Looking at it. Huh.
Yeah, like we walked into rooms and you could smell you're like, oh, those are all bad. Everything's gone. But we went into this one room that just was like insulated really well. And it just happened to have like, a few plants that were like, oh, you look normal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is cool. So you recovered from the fire, right? So everybody recovers from the fire and then the pandemic comes down the pipe.
Yeah.
How did that affect the farm?
The fire and the pandemic were kind of already there, right? Like we had that shutdown kind of started in March, and then the fires were in
it all kind of goes
October.
Together. Yeah.
So
it all blends together.
Yeah, it does. It's like all of 2020 blended together for us.
Terrible year.
We did pretty good through that. The fires had the most effect on us versus anything else. We're a small company, so any adjustments on those kind of things it wasn't very hard. We always have more demand than we have supply, so it makes it a little bit easier to kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, let's see. How many shops are you guys in nowadays?
I think we're in about 25 regular shops throughout the state. It kind of depends on the harvests. And like with the fires, like I said, we were missing in action for a little bit there. But right now we have, Oregon Indigo out, Doctor Who out. We've got new ones coming down the pipe. We've got Soda Popinski, which is Starburst Punch by Devil's Punch Bowl. And then Grand Admiral OG, which is OGKB by the Devil's Punch Bowl. And the Devil's Punch Bowl is Hell's OG by River Song. So it's just a really gassy.
River Song is an amazing strain.
It's one of my favorites. So when do you expect, do we have any new things that we might see trickling out at some point?
Yeah, the Soda Popinski and the Grand Admiral OG just kind of made it back into, like, it just made its break out of the I'm a tester phase and into you're a permanent stage. And we've had, we ran with like Sand Lake Sour Diesel, which was okay. It's a slight improvement on the East Coast Sour Diesel. Had a little bit more THC, a little bit more terpene profile, and grew shorter. But the structure was really similar to the East Coast, so it has that sativa look to it, and it's not the best look. So kind of put that one on the back burner and trying to work back through that one a little bit as we go. Crooked River Blues, we got a lot of that coming up, so that one's been off the menu for about a year, and
that's been a very popular one for a long time.
And that one was probably the most affected by the fires because it's really humidity sensitive. Anything under 45% humidity, and it just starts freaking out.
There's so many different criteria to picking strains that are going to be viable for the market. It's not just THC alone, obviously.
Totally. We have specific ones that work for our outdoor environment here. So like we've cultivated those ones, and we germinate those seeds in greenhouses and run them full term in this coastal environment, which we get fog. We're 3 miles from the beach.
Are you guys still making your own dirt?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We still do that. And then we kind of, we fill in with Sensei. He makes almost exactly the same mix as ours. So it's really nice to be able to do that, especially during this time of year when we start the greenhouses and stuff. It's a lot of labor to kind of fit back in. But
Mike, when you you're talking to us, we've been around farms, we've talked, countless hours about cannabis. When you say the plants freak out, explain to people what that means when a plant freaks out.
Yeah. So you'll usually have a lot of rusting on the leaves. Leaves will end up falling off, or you'll have curling, growth irregularities, random die off, especially because of root stuff. So when it's dried out, you just have root die off, and that kind of trickles up into the plant. So you might have one half of the plant that's alive and one half of it that's not. And it just takes a lot of maintenance on cleaning up that kind of stuff, like going into the roots, cutting out the bad stuff, planting it into fresh soil, cutting off the bad stuff that's up in the canopy, and just maintenance.
It's cue the slow horror music as you walk into the room.
It's I don't think people all around the world love and enjoy cannabis on a daily basis, and I don't think they think about how hard it is to grow.
Totally.
Everybody thinks it's just real easy, and they can grow their own weed or whatever. That's fine.
And every strain is different.
Ambitious.
What was that? Every strain is different too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there might be 5 things you do for one that you don't do for another.
Exactly.
something of that nature. Do you do a lot of like strain hunting or cultivar hunting, as I like to say? Do you do that on a regular basis, like just trying weird stuff?
We breed almost every year. This year is the first year in the last 5 years we haven't chose to do a breeding project, because last year's breeding project was so big for us, and we did all those Devil's Punch Bowl crosses. So we're like slowly working through those. Like we have one that we're kind of like, we found a couple phenos that we liked, but the only ones that survived the fires weren't very good. So we did one that we call Cascade Head, and it's Purple Urkel by Devil's Punch Bowl. And
Purple Urkel.
Yeah, it's a great thing, but you have to work with those THC percentages on the Urkel, which is really low from the mother plant. And trying to get anything over 19% is hard. So you have to hunt a lot and test a lot to be able to get there. So it can take some time to do it effectively.
Have you seen anything that just kind of blows you away over this last, let's say, 6 months, a year? Something that just, holy cow, that is awesome.
Like when it comes to our genetics or other people's?
Just other people's genetics. We know yours are dope. I'm just curious if you scope out the others.
I love older stuff, but there are always new classics that kind of come up. The apricot gelato is really, really good in a lot of different ways right now. I like that one. There's so many different ones right now. I like all the doghouse stuff.
Oh yeah.
So he's got a whole bunch of Mac crosses, and like the Mac Scooby one. That's crazy.
Crazy shit. Yeah.
His Scooby snacks always just messes me up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that good.
Scooby is one of those modern classics. It's that.
He had a run of Scooby that he had processed by White Label.
Yeah.
And I got some of that. It was shatter. And I took a big old dab, old school. And let me tell you, I hadn't been that high in a really, really long time off of, just smoking in general. And let me tell you, it really hit me hard. I was like, I was supposed to go a couple places, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to kick it here. You guys can go on ahead,
Scooby, Dog Walker, and Chem 91 all make me sweat, like visibly sweat every time I smoke it.
Dog Walker's my jam, though. That's my go-to.
Yeah.
If and when I get it. So that's the problem. Sometimes it's there for a while and then it disappears.
Yeah, we did some crosses with that a while back. We did the Dog Walker by River Song. I just haven't gotten into them. I've got probably 30 or 40 different strains of ours that we just haven't even popped yet.
I'd love to try Dog Walker River Song cross.
That'd be, I was just thinking about that. Like, wow, what that'd be like.
I'd be wanting to get into the Time Portal telephone booth and go all over the place.
It definitely sounds like a funky transformation.
So I'm always curious about people's story as how they got into cannabis and stuff like that. How'd you get into this, man?
I'm a combat vet. I was self-medicating for a while, with cannabis, and found it very effective. And I was just buying it randomly, kind of from a buddy of mine. And there was no consistency with strains. So it kind of was like some things would work, some things wouldn't.
Right.
And so I got, to this point, I was like, hey, do you have this one again? And like, I used to buy a lot of Trinity from them. So like, I love, that was perfect for me all the time. And I was like, do you have any more of that? He's like, no, I got rid of that. I'm like, oh, that sucks. So at that point I was like, well, I'm going to try. I'm going to see what I can do. And I flowered a couple plants unsuccessfully outside. Yeah, exactly. Especially your first couple, and And then the next year I tried again and I was successful. And then I just set up an indoor grow from there and got my medical card when I did that. And just kind of slowly trickled through that. I had some friends that were already in the industry. And I met Subcool through those friends.
Oh yeah, friends with Miss Jill.
And then Jill's great, and kind of like formed a little family with them, and we hung out, and I went to different events with them around the country for 4 or 5 years, and
small world.
Yeah, kind of during that built our brand from there. 2013 is when we started getting into local dispensaries and marketing ourselves as Geek Farms.
Now, there was a period of time where when medical and recreational was making a transition. Right. At that time, didn't you guys open a grow store at one point? Didn't you have a grow store?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something we don't talk about? We don't have to talk about it. I was just curious.
You just have, you can have partnership issues along the way. And those things can, really, really have a trickle down effect long term. And I don't really like, partners are hard, and those are the lessons that you learn. And, and I learned a lot from that. I loved what we were doing, but, it can't be one-sided.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I was just always curious about why that didn't continue, but
100% partnership stuff. Yeah, nothing more than that. I felt 100% responsibility on something that I only owned a third of. So,
right.
What did we see in the future with Geek Farms? Did we see some expansion? I know a lot of farms are all expanding and doing this, and
I'm not into getting into debt. I'm not into getting into debt at all. I don't like it. We slowly expand when we, have profit for it. When banking becomes normalized and I can do those kind of things. I'll consider those kind of things. I like focusing in Oregon and perfecting that. I don't want to stretch ourselves thin, myself included. I love my family. I love where I live. I love what I do for, our community here. So for me to do anything more than that, it would have to come naturally. I don't want to push it.
Yeah.
Just an organic growth of sorts.
Yeah. That's exactly what I say.
I'd like to see some Geek Farm hash rosin. Just the fresh pressed off of your guys' stuff would be just amazing.
Totally. And that's something that we've considered. Probably, like, we can do that here. That's not an issue. We can get a license to do non-solvent concentrates here. But we just haven't. The amount that we produce versus the cost of distribution for those kind of things.
That's true.
If we were a lot bigger, we would. And we like our partnership with White Label. We've been with them since 2017.
And if you guys get a chance to find some Geek Farm by White Label, just pick it up. Do yourself
about 3
a favor.
weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I think it was now it's escaping me. That's how good it was. I held it in too long.
Was it the Starburst Punch by Devil's
No,
Punch?
it wasn't. It wasn't that one. It was an indica more. It was like I want to say something with Oregon in the title, I think.
Oh, Oregon Indigo.
Yeah, Oregon Indigo. Yeah,
I love Oregon Indigo. That's our frostiest plant, period. It's one of those things that when you walk into a grow room, it's like, oh man, that's one of the frostiest plants I've ever seen.
It's probably a health producer too, as far as extract yields.
Oh yeah. When it comes down to that, it does really, really good, and it has a nice, a really pungent lavender profile to it, with with those grapes and.
Ugh. I'm just such a huge fan of your work, man. You know, you were my first, like, hey, can we go interview Dope Geek Farms when I was working for Dope Magazine? But I was also trying to figure out how I could pull you away from white label when I was making extracts, and I just couldn't figure out a way because white label stuff is amazing. They do a really good job with your product.
They do a good job. We get really, really good feedback from our customers. Yeah. It's really readily available. They're in over 300 stores. So
yeah, their distribution just takes care of themselves for that.
It does, and it helps us. Like I was saying, we're in 25 stores, so 300 stores in comparison. You know, it gives other customers the opportunity to try our flavor profiles.
Yeah.
And then seek out our flower after that.
Yeah, that's good marketing, especially when you have a partner like White Label. They really are in all the good stores. I even went to I'm not even going to name the store. I went to kind of I'm going to say mediocre store out in, I'll say out west of Portland. And, you know, I looked through their selection of stuff and I was like, you know, you got any White Label at least? And they had a White Label section, but everything else was just garbage. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So
they get in at a reasonable price too.
Yeah, so, exactly.
You know, and we take that into account as well, that it's accessible. You know, they're not also in 25 stores. So, you know, those kind of things take a lot into account.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, you got, what size crew you got working now for you? You got lots of people?
Seven people.
7 people.
Yep.
And
I just want to know how Samson's doing. I love that guy. I love that guy.
Sam drives around in a toaster. He drives in a Toyota or a Scion
Cube or something.
Yeah, crazy one of those, the boxy ones. So it's just big Samson in the front seat of that box going around all the time. That guy puts on miles. He just,
yeah, he does.
Yeah. He is your distribution network.
Yeah, he does all of that stuff for us.
He always used to make intake day so good, you know.
Oh yeah, he's always fun.
It was always good, and it's funny because he'd pull up in a car, right, and he gets out, and you keep thinking there's going to be like 20 more people coming out. It's like a clown car. You know, it's like they're going to keep coming and keep coming and keep coming.
Yeah.
I remember one time Samson was doing a drop off at Oregon's Finest, and Ed Rosenthal happened to be in the lobby.
That's right.
And I got a chance to introduce those two, and boy, they went on a conversation. I was just sitting there just watching both of them. It was a very interesting conversation.
And I think Jorge Zapata and Jeff Lowenfels were there that day too. We had like a lot of people come in the shop that day.
Yeah,
good times back in the day, if you will. Well, Mike from Geek Farms, I appreciate your time and, you know, for hanging out with us. We'll have to have you to an all-out dope smoke show here pretty soon.
And I'd love to tour the farm.
And we wouldn't mind traveling down to Otis and doing a show down there too, if you don't mind us.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's, you know, we're open, so anytime.
Great. Well, we're going to make that happen real soon because we can come down there and do a live stream show straight from the farm. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that works out for us. My internet's spotty, you can probably tell.
So. We'll reach out to you about it soon, and we'll get it all planned up so people can anticipate that.
So. Sounds good, buddy. Thank you.
All right, Geek Mike, thanks for joining us.
Mike.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Man, Geek Mike from Geek Farms, always a pleasure to have him around. Every time we've done something, it's always been pretty fun and pretty good. So I'm glad we got a chance to talk to him today.
Always a good conversation.
And now I got to go out and find some River Song and some Crooked River Blues and some Doctor Who.
I know.
I need all those in my life right now. That'd be great.
Can you believe the timing? We're like perfect right now.
We're like perfect for the timing right now.
We're getting good at this.
Yeah, we're getting pretty good. Pretty good. Thanks to everybody who makes the show happen. Of course, go to budtendershirts.com, buy a t-shirt, support the show. Go to talkcastPDX.com. Check out all their great programs like Citizen Smith. You got Tasty Good PDX. The shows go on and on. You got the Loud 100 with Ryan Herron. All that stuff going down at TalkCastPDX. Also, swing by cannabis420.com as well. For the Old Stoney's podcast, I'm Justin for Matt Criscione.
And Matt Criscione.
And until next time, keep on smoking.